What's up, guys, and welcome to Gamescript. We're looking at the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday Night Football, and we have a team that is set up to do really well in the pass game, and all three of his receivers are teed up for big games, but which one will have the biggest? I'm going to get into it right after this. What's up, guys? Simon Edwards at PumaCom here with Heat Seeker Sports. You're watching Gamescript, looking at the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Pittsburgh Steelers for Sunday Night Football. We got a 45.5-point spread with the Chargers as 3-point favorites in this one. Both teams playing well. Both teams are looking like playoff contenders here. And this is going to be a big game for each of these teams in real life football. In order to continue those hopes, especially for the Chargers, who are in a division where the Chiefs are creeping up on them. They need to keep a lead on the Chiefs in this division in order to keep their playoff hopes alive. So it's going to be a good game. We got Aaron Rodgers versus Justin Herbert. Rodgers has been playing pretty well this season, and Herbert has as well, but they keep losing their offensive linemen for the Chargers, and Joe Alt is out for the season, along with, I think, Slater is out for the season too. I can get into that in a second. Before I do that, make sure to hit the like button. I'm looking for, we'll do 50 likes on this one because it's a Sunday show, and people have less time to watch this show. So go for 50 likes, and I'll put my favorite picks in the comment section as we get closer to lock. And also make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm 35 away from hitting that 2,200 mark I've been trying to hit. So I appreciate the help there. Also, you want to subscribe to get access to the free beta preview coming up of the Secret Weapon. Should be coming up in about a week. We have the development near the end, so we're just kind of testing it right now, and then we're going to release it to all of you guys to test and give your feedback on. But you have to be a YouTube subscriber to get that free access to the site. It's going to be a news-based site, so it'll help you guys out with your research big time. Let's get into the analysis here. You see on the screen, I have a underdog promo. Use the promo code SEEK. If you play $5, you're going to get $100 in bonus cash with your first deposit. So make sure to take advantage of that. That's how I make my money. For doing these shows, I make money off commissions when I get these signups. I also have BetMGM. Use the code HEATER1500 on your first deposit, and they're going to give you up to $1,500 risk-free after your first bet. If your first bet loses, you're going to get up to $1,500 risk-free bet. So basically, if you bet $200 and you lose, they're going to give you $200 in free bets. So it's a kind of risk-free, basically, like the promo says. So take advantage of that, get that free money, and get that free money on Underdog, and take advantage of those promos. Let's go into the injury report real quick. We got the Chargers we'll look at first. You can see we're missing Bobby Hart too. So we got Bobby Hart is out. We got Savion Washington out. We got Slater and Alt are both on IR or out for the season, I guess. So they're not even showing up on this depth chart. So you don't even get a really good look at how bad situation they're in. On top of that, Marion Hampton is still on IR. And we lost Najee Harris for the season as well to a torn Achilles, I believe it was. On the defense, we got a bunch of guys on IR. We got a few guys questionable, St. Jew, and we got Tarheeb still is doubtful, and Dean Leonard is questionable. So a bunch of guys, Deshaun Hand, a bunch of guys on the defense are banged up. So better situation there for Pittsburgh against this defense. We'll take a look at Pittsburgh right now. And we're looking at Scotty Miller is out. A couple of the backup quarterbacks are out. We got left guard. Sumalo is out. We got a right guard on IR in Sharping. Let's see. On the defense, Holcomb is out. We got Kent, Trice, Deshaun Elliott all on IR. Jabril Peppers is out. Killebrew is on IR. We got Lowry. So pretty banged up defenses on both sides, which is good for the offenses on both sides here. At least the depth on both sides of this are going to be pretty tested. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these players. With Justin Herbert, he takes a huge dive without Joe Alt in the lineup. It's just a negative all over for the team, and they lost him last week. And we're just hoping that Herbert can overcome that. Some of these weeks in here, I believe, some of these weeks with the sub 20 scores was with Alt out of the lineup previously. He came back for a couple weeks, and then we saw Herbert put up a couple big weeks recently, and then he put up 28.7 against Tennessee to give us hope that he can still put up a big week without Joe Alt in the lineup. The Steelers are giving up 20.9 DraftKings points a game to the quarterback position, so he's teed up to have a good game. And the wide receivers are teed up too, because Pittsburgh's been giving up 34.7 DraftKings points a game to the wide receiver position, and that is the most in the league. And that's the wide outs. So wide outs specifically. That's going to tee up Quentin Johnson the most for us. Johnson has not done too much recently, but we could be in a situation here where we start to see what we saw with him earlier in the season when he was doing decent. But Quentin Johnson at 11.4 in the captain. Let's see what he is in the flex. Unfortunately, Johnson's price has stayed relatively high. He's still at 7,600. He's only 400 less than Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen has been a little MIA recently. I read an article by Rich Rebar. Rich Rebar suggested it was the type of offense that they were running. They were using a heavier set offense where Trey Harris was being played more. He was playing more snaps because he's good at run blocking, and that was taking Keenan Allen out of the lineup. But the theory here is that they're going to be running less heavier sets in this matchup against Pittsburgh. So Allen might get his snaps back this week. So that would benefit, obviously, Keenan Allen in this matchup. Let me take a look real quick at Allen. He's been running 62% of his snaps out wide. McConkey has been the primary slot receiver. So Allen is running a decent amount out wide, which is good in that matchup as well that we saw with Quentin Johnson. So Allen and Johnson, both with good matchups in this one. McConkey. Let's see. McConkey, his big weeks were 20 in week 8, week 6. Basically week 8 and week 6. And let's see how that corresponds with Quentin Johnson. Week 8, he had 0. In week 6, he didn't even play. And let's see what that does with Keenan Allen. I want to get an idea of correlation here. Week 8, 8.4, and week 6, 6.7. So it's not a whole lot of correlation between McConkey's big weeks and these other guys also having big weeks. It seems like they are the inverse, at least in the small sample that we just looked at, the 2 game. It doesn't really mean too much. It's just out of curiosity. But maybe we keep that in mind when we're building these lineups. Let's see what Allen's big weeks were. Week 7, week 3, and week 1. pretty big week in week 2. So 1, 2, 3, and 7. Going to take a look at Quentin Johnson. 1, 2, 3, and 7. So he did decent. So maybe a little positive correlation between Johnson and Allen, and McConkey. 1, 2, 3, and 7. McConkey kind of mixed results there. So I think that ultimately we can probably start 2 of these 3 guys. It doesn't really, the combination. We might want to go with McConkey and one of these other guys. So basically, McConkey and Allen, or McConkey and Johnson might be the way to go. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, and 7. Or I guess we can go Allen and Johnson too. Just trying to figure out for when we start building this. If we want to use Herbert in the captain, then I guess we can start him with any combination of those guys. I think we just need to mix and match because there's not really a solid correlation there. But just glancing at the notes there, at the game logs. So with Rodgers, he's had a few big weeks. He had a big 25 points in week 1, 25 points again in week 7. He's been showing up for some of these big matchups. I wouldn't be surprised to see him have a decent game in this one, but the Chargers are only giving up 14.3 DraftKings points a game to the quarterback position. They've been more vulnerable against running backs. So we might not see like a usable game here from Rodgers tonight, which is good because we can focus on stacking the Chargers more. With Jaylen Warren, let's see. The Chargers are giving up 21 DraftKings points a game to the running back position. That's the best matchup for a running back on this slate because the Steelers are not giving up very many points to the running back position, which is kind of going to leave Vidal on the bench for me tonight. Vidal is expensive at $8,800, and he really, has kind of been like a roller coaster. He had a couple big weeks. Every time I seem to use this guy, he does not have a big week. So maybe do the opposite of what I do with Vidal there. With Jaylen Warren, going back to Warren though, we saw he's had a few big weeks. These 10 plus weeks are usable in showdown slates. So don't think of them in terms of what we would normally think in a larger context. Like this is something that we're looking for the, top 6 scorers in this game. And if we see a double digit score out of someone like Warren, that could be enough to do it for us. Hampton is on IR. DK Metcalf, another roller coaster guy. But I believe with the Chargers, they're giving up 15.2 DraftKings points a game to the wideout position. So not the best matchup for DK Metcalf there, but he does do well against the type of coverages that the Chargers run. They're running primarily zone coverages, and Metcalf leads the team in targets for zone. Get an idea here. All right, so against zone coverage, I see Metcalf with a 0.46 fantasy points per route run. That leads the team by a pretty big margin. And he has a 22% target rate on his routes against that. So he's done well against zone coverage. And if this game goes to a little bit more of a shootout, then that's where we can see DK Metcalf have a decent amount of opportunity, even though his matchup's not the best. Keenan Allen, like I said, we should see more of Keenan Allen this week if we get what we're thinking from Rich Rebar's article over on Sharp Football Analysis. Check that out. I think he usually does it for free on these island games. Quentin Johnson, Still like him. Gadsden was another guy who's been coming on recently. He's got a good matchup too. Gadsden is looking at a matchup where the Steelers are giving up 18 DraftKings points a game to the tight end position. That is the second most points per game to the tight end position. So Gadsden is going to be in play again, and he's been getting 8, 9, 5, 5 targets. Be interesting to see, how much he is able to do without Joe Alt in the lineup. Still got 5 targets last week. I'm not sure how far into the game Alt went down last week, but judging from the score that Herbert put up, he looks like he was in there for a decent portion of the game. But Gadsden, he should be in a good matchup tonight, and so we should see some opportunity for him as well. Another guy that we got to sort through when we're trying to figure out which receivers that we want to put in this game. Calvin Austin at 6,200. He got 6 targets last week, 6 targets the week before that. Let's take a look at how he's doing versus zone coverage. Yeah, so the Chargers are running zone coverage at the second least amount in the league. So we can expect whatever these guys are doing against zone coverage. Chargers running man coverage at the second lowest rate. I'm not sure if I said zone that first time. They're running zone at the second most. So with Calvin Austin, he is at 0.27 fantasy points per route run versus zone, according to PFF. Only a 15% target rate. So DK Metcalf definitely gets elevated. Calvin Austin gets a 21% against man coverage, but we're not really doesn't really help us with this matchup. Scrolling down, we got Dicker the kicker, always in play. When your name rhymes with your position, you basically are made for that position. And Dicker the kicker has 12, 17, 15, and 11. Not great, but he can still put up double-digit points for us. Boswell is one of the best kickers in the league. 14, 12, 15, 20, and 10. I would think that Boswell is going to get a decent amount of work in this one because the matchup for the passing game of the Steelers is not that great, and their run game is not that great either. So you kind of match those things. That's how I kind of pick these kickers that I think are going to get 2 field goals. I would put Boswell in that category tonight. I think he's going to have a big game. Chargers D, might be in play at home against these Steelers. Not really in love with it, but I'd rather go with one of those kickers. And Steelers D, without Joe Alt, we've seen them put up 16, 10, 10, and 18. They looked amazing versus Indy last week. So with the banged up offensive line that the Chargers have tonight, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Steelers put up a big game, which has them in play for me. Kenneth Gainwell kind of goes with that same matchup that we see for Jaylen Warren, but Gainwell had that one big week in Europe, but he hasn't done much since. Freiermuth. So with these tight ends, it's kind of a hodgepodge of tight ends. The Chargers are giving up 10 DraftKings points a game to the tight end position. So, tight ends and slots and running backs are where the Chargers defense has been most vulnerable. So we got Freiermuth, 11 points, 7 last week. Jonnu Smith, he's kind of been MIA for a few weeks. And Darnell Washington, he's kind of consistent there in that 8 to 9 point range the last few weeks, except for that goose egg that he put up. So, it's kind of mix or match with these guys, and they all fall in that 3K to 3,400 range. Patterson, I'm not a whole lot interested in. I'm not interested in the running game for the Chargers in this one. Roman Wilson, he put up that big game on us in Green Bay when we needed Freiermuth to have a big game. And, I really, not sure what to think with Roman Wilson. He had a couple targets last week. We can take a look at the snap counts real quick. Looking at these wide receivers, we go to Pittsburgh. Roman Wilson had 47% snap count, so he's getting a decent amount of snaps if you want to consider him. So something to keep in mind, but I get a look at what he's doing against zone coverage real quick too. Roman Wilson, 13% target rate versus zone coverage, 0.24 fantasy points per route run. So nothing really special there. But Roman Wilson could be another guy for us. Another cheap guy in that tight end range if we want to plug him in. Caleb Johnson, have not seen much out of him. Has not been getting a lot of opportunities, and this isn't a great matchup for him. They picked up Valdez-Scantling. He got 3 targets last week. He's a former teammate of Aaron Rodgers. So, Rodgers could have played a role in getting him on the team. Let's take a look at his snap count. I won't switch it back. Let's see. Valdez-Scantling doesn't say in the source that I'm looking at, so I can't give a good idea of how many snaps he had last week. Maybe let's say in the overview. No, nothing there. Oh, so week 6 is the last time he played, so he hasn't even been active yet for the Steelers. So that explains why he hasn't gotten any usage. Skolnick, we saw him. He's getting like 30% snap count. Not really interested there. But if we scroll down, let's see if we can find anyone interesting. I don't really see too many. I like Conklin and Disley down in this 200 range if we need salary relief. These guys took a back seat to Oronde Gadsden when he kind of took off. So, all right, guys. So we can start going ahead and building these lineups. I don't have ownership yet. Actually, let me check and see if it's come up yet. Because this ownership is going to play a big role in the direction that we want to go for captain here. With these guys all being kind of equal in their matchups with these Chargers, I really want to just kind of go with the guy that's going to have the less ownership because I think they all have pretty decent matchups. So, okay, so looking at the captain ownership, I see McConkey as the highest guy. Gadsden at number 2, surprisingly. Allen at number 3. And then Quentin Johnson is... Oh, Quentin Johnson's at 3 and Allen's at 2, but they're basically both at 6%. So, yeah, so I don't hate using Allen or any of these guys really in the captain. McConkey might be the guy that I'd shy away from. I don't like him at 13%. And even Metcalf is down under 8%. So Herbert is the highest on the slate, understandably, with this matchup. But let's go ahead and build one with Herbert in the captain to kind of give you guys a cash game lineup. Let's give him Gadsden with that awesome matchup, and let's give him Allen for a little bit more consistency over Quentin Johnson in that cheap range. I want to go with let's get Metcalf in there, and then that leaves us with 5,300 per guy. If we wanted to, we could throw in Johnson. Leaves us with 3,100. We got Wilson, a couple guys in that range. Let's see, let's see if we got any other options here. Nothing that I like that much. Let's take out Johnson. Let's put in Boswell. Leaves us with 5,700. We go double kicker in this situation. We could get that that Steelers D in there too. But we don't really want to put the Steelers D in if we're running Herbert and the captain necessarily. So let's stick with Quentin Johnson in there and see if we can find a 3K guy. I mean, really, in this situation, I probably would lean on Washington because we know that Rodgers likes throwing to his tight end, and the Chargers give up a decent amount of touchdowns to tight end position. So I don't hate Washington there as that final spot. But let's clear this out. Let's go with something a little less obvious. And let's go ahead. Let's put Keenan Allen in that captain off the bat. Let's get Herbert in there. And let's get Johnson in there too. Actually, let's get McConkey in there since we got some salary to spare. Let's get Metcalf in there. 4,800. I like Boswell. 4,600. And we can get like Freiermuth. We get our choice of these tight ends. I'd probably just cycle through these tight ends in a build like this. It's a 3-3 build. If we wanted to avoid a 3-3, maybe we take out McConkey. Let's go with Gadsden. So we got Herbert to Keenan Allen, and we got Gadsden, and we're left with 7K. Really does not improve our situation. Let's go to... Let's put Warren in there. And leaves us with 3K. And we can get like Washington in this one. Not a huge fan of that build. Let's get Warren out of there. Let's put Warren in there and let's take out Metcalf. And I know the matchup isn't great, but let's put in Calvin Austin, and that leaves us with enough to put Boswell in there too. So it's a 3-3 still in that direction. Let's go with Gadsden in the captain. See if this does any better for us. Let's get Herbert. Let's get McConkey. How's McConkey done with Gadsden? 8 and 7 were big weeks. 6, 7, 8 were big weeks for him. And we saw that 7 and 8 were big weeks for Gadsden. So there's no negative correlation there, at least. So we got Herbert, Gadsden, and McConkey. Let's put in Warren. Leaves us with 5,200 per guy. If we want to put Boswell in there, we put Dicker in there too. Go double kicker. A lot of these are lending themselves to kind of a double kicker build, which I don't hate in this matchup. You could also get like that Steelers D in there. You could leave salary on the table and put in like Freiermuth, or maybe we put in Freiermuth, take out Boswell, see what that gets us. We get like, let's take out Warren too. Let's put in Metcalf instead of Warren. 7,700. We can get Quentin Johnson in this build too. But if Gadsden is going to be in the captain, he probably doesn't want to have too many guys taken away from his receptions. But you could do that with getting Johnson in there. If we wanted to go with Boswell, leaves us with 6,100, still in that same spot there. Let's try, instead of Gadsden, let's get Johnson in the captain. We go Herbert instead of McConkey. Let's go with Allen and Johnson. Herbert, Allen, Johnson. We got Metcalf on the run back, 6,600. If we wanted to, we could get Vidal in this one. Leaves us with 2,800. I don't really like where that leaves us. Let's get Boswell in this one. Leaves us with 6,600. Same spot with Calvin Austin. So still got to mess around with these builds a little bit. I think one of these tight ends, we probably want to cycle one of these tight ends in there. So let's get Boswell out, and gets us up to Gadsden. But again, it's that same spot where we got 3 of these receivers. So, this one's going to be a little bit tricky to try to figure out the way to get the combos in there. But you probably want to do multi-entry in this one because it's going to be, kind of all these guys in similar matchups for the Chargers. But make sure to hit that like button. Get me to 50 likes. So put my favorite picks in the comment section. Make sure to sign up for that Underdog account using the promo code SEEK, SEEK. They're going to give you $100 free when you make your first $5 play there. So really just like it's a pretty good deal there. You can't really beat that. And, sign up for the Bet MGM if you want the risk-free bet. And obviously subscribe to the channel. Help me get to 2,200 subscribers. And I'll see you guys later on in the comment section.